impactful contributions to the team.
Hey Tim, just the process of like you, Matt, Dell, like the new guys coming in and integrating with the existing staff here, how's that process gone? And in terms of just kind of collaborating on getting a board together and trying to scout everything out?
It's been awesome. Sach, Manny, Zarko, they've been so great. Known these guys for a long time, so it's a little bit more seamless. We've been joking with Dell. He's in coach mode, so he's a little late to the process. Matt's been doing this all year long, so again, I think about as seamless as possible. And the staff that was here prior to my arrival has been A+. They've been awesome.
What excites you most about tomorrow night?
Probably the uncertainty. It's also like the one night a year where you feel like you're actually doing your job as a front office guy. It's fun. Essentially a scouted heart with an elevated title. So it's a fun evening. We don't know. It's fun. We sit in that room and argue 10 hours a day, and none of us really know what it's going to look like. They're going to grade us on Thursday night. The grade should be in 3 years. See if it worked out.
How do you view kind of the 3 second-rounders that you have, and do you view them as ammunition to maybe move around a little bit, assets to use, especially as it pertains to how many guys you can have on a roster?
Yeah, I mean, they're fun. At BCL tournament, not having any second-round picks. I wish you guys should push for making the NBA draft a 2-day event, because we have 2 minutes in the second round. There's a lot of man hours putting into those 2 minutes. So I think a second day would be really cool. A Friday second round. It's unlikely we're going to roster 4 rookies. So how are we creative with those picks? How do we maximize their value? And also, I think we have to not be scared to kind of mess up. The reality is the hit rate in the second round is unbelievably low. So let's try to find certain characteristics that allow people to make it, knowing it's hard to make it as a second round guy.
We're the last people who want to work a second day, so we're not going to push that for you.
You're asking the wrong people on that one.
How has the value of like second round picks evolved over the past 10 years? We see those charts all the time of like X plus Y equals Z.
Yeah, we have a room full of them.
Yeah. Has that evolved over the past 10 years?
Yeah, there's so many much smarter people than me work in the league, and they do a great job of assigning value, and we have such a great staff here. But it still comes down to your goal is to add good players to win games. So I think we have to be cognizant of the ultimate goal is to do that. So if you can add a quality piece, a guy you think you can add to this team, culturally is going to fit, then let's add that quality guy regardless of where he is or where he might be mocked elsewhere. I think it's a fun debate, value versus where you select a guy, but the goal of Thursday night is to add good players to our organization.
When you look at, this seems like kind of the start of the offseason as a whole, what are your main priorities for where, like, okay, this roster has to get better in this area?
My main priorities right now are finding a house, school, and look, there's certain areas that's clearly we need to get better. You guys covered the team and saw, more than I did. We got to get better. Internal growth is going to be one of our biggest indicators of success. We have a really, really good young core, and those guys haven't scratched the surface of playing their best basketball. But this is the time of year where you're trying to address some of those needs and trying to help maybe build a bit more diversified of a roster.
What are those needs?
Well, look, we got to rebound the ball better. We have to be better and kind of be more mature in how we approach leads. I think we have to. Any young team, there's going to be defensive struggles. It was so great having the veterans here. Pat was so impactful with showing these guys how important it is every night to take that side of the ball seriously. But I think we're going to see natural growth because our coaching staff is so good. Finch is the lead coach. And our guys are here all the time. They're working out and they care. And the overall mood of this building is one that's really positive and far from content, which is great.
So what do you know now about the draft than you did 9, 10 years ago?
I was better 9-10 years ago. Less information, too much information now. We can tell you the guy liked blue or red in kindergarten now, and I don't know if that helps us make a good selection. So I think you got to go with your gut. I think you have to, when you're making these calls, to try to get a sense of who the guy is in terms of work ethic and coachability. I think you just have to call people you have real relationships with. Too often these calls, I'll get cold calls, and you guys cold call me. I'm not going to be too honest. When you develop those relationships, you can have real information share. And ultimately, I think this time of year, we all have draft fever. You wouldn't believe how many first-round picks from the last 2 years are available right now. So the drafts, it's like, sometimes it's like you're buying the new car, you drive the new car off the lot. So I don't know if I've learned much. There's more crap in my head and more stories to tell, but I don't know if I've got any better or worse at it.
Do you think, you talk about a rebounder, isn't it hard, at 19 pick, isn't it hard to find a real good NBA rebounder? Isn't that one of the skills that takes some time and some beef?
Yeah, I think, look, the 19th pick, if you look at the final 8 teams this year, there's not many teams that were playing rookies. So we're drafting tomorrow night for the next 3 to 5 years, 3 to 7 years. If we expect a 19th pick to make an instant impact on a team that was in the playoffs last year, it's unfair for that player. I think, you want to get on base with 19, how much you want to swing for the fences. It depends on who's there. But, I mean, there's some guys in our range that have skill sets that we presently lack.
Do you feel like you generally lean towards swinging for the fences in picks?
I don't know. I think it all depends. I think, again, been around so many really smart staffs, guys that know this better than I do. I tend to like guys that have certain characteristics that tend to work. These supremely talented guys, they can do it with or without those characteristics, but for the majority of the league, it's about kind of work ethic. It's about role acceptance, willing to listen to role definition. It's about self-motivated workers, I think. And I think you see most of those guys who make it who aren't those elite top 20, 30 guys. That's a pretty common theme with all those guys.
So you might learn a little more talking to people about a guy than watching them in like a...
Yeah, it's a combination. It's not, it's a popularity contest, but it's got to have a degree of talent. But I do think outside of the early lottery, there tend to be types of guys that consistently make it, not just skill sets.
You mentioned, having a guy picked at 19 come in and make an instant impact could be a little unfair to him on a playoff team. When you are a playoff team, does it make you maybe more willing or more inclined to try and trade that pick for more veteran help at that point in time?
Yeah, I mean, we're super open to it. We've had countless conversations about using that pick to add a more quickly impactful piece. But 99% of these conversations are just theoretical. We'll see if they're actionable. And today and tomorrow they take on a more actionable tone. But it's hard to get trades done. It's a lot of different motivations. There's a lot of fear involved with trades. I think teams can be at times a bit overly cognizant of winning or losing a trade. But it's like the players. Just if your team's better, you win the trade.
Tim, do you think it seems like there's an anticipation league-wide that it might be an active night, just in terms of moves and stuff? Do you get a feeling like there's an appetite out there for whether it's you guys or others that really want to?
I think so, but I thought by this point, some of the conversations that we've had or we've heard of league-wide, we're lucky we know a lot of different teams, I thought they'd be a bit further advanced than they are today. But all it takes is one call, and you make a trade in 2 minutes. But a lot of jabbing right now. Hopefully there's some punching starting tomorrow morning.
What's the free agent market look like to you as you kind of put, obviously look at both at the same time?
Yeah, I think I wish free agent, Commissioner Silver, so 2-day draft and free agency before draft. If we can get that done, it's going to be a great media scrum. I think the struggle with free agency, you can't have those conversations prior to July 1, but the market evolves so quickly. I think there are some intriguing free agent options. I think we have some flexibility to add pieces that route as well. But having any substantive conversation on free agency prior to the draft seems counterintuitive. And you can't have those conversations with representatives till July 1st. So it's a lot of guessing. Again, my colleagues have done such an unbelievable job making sure we're prepared, and we'll be super prepared. Doesn't mean we're going to get it right, but we'll be prepared.
Is it legal for one of your own players to say, hey, that guy's a free agent, a friend of mine, and he told me he'd really like to come here? I mean, what are the parameters?
I'm from Baltimore. I'm not answering that question. I can't tell you if it's illegal, but if our guys want to make those calls, I can't stop them, for sure.
You have a lot of point guards, kind of, if you put Ant in there, two primary playmakers. So to some extent, it seems like you're kind of full there, but the league seems to evolve to multiple playmakers in that sort of way. Why can adding another playmaker point guard in the draft be something that makes sense for you guys?
I think there's a natural fluidity to any roster. So to assume our team is going to, as presently constructed, is going to be the team we see in 2 months or a year or 2 years. Again, we have to have realistic expectations about what the 19th pick might do on a team that played as well as this team did last year, which has a lot of talent at that position. So if it's super close, we'll factor in need and position. But I think the biggest mistake we can make is passing on a guy because of where we are presently, and we look up a year or two from now, and the guy's a special player.
What did you learn from watching the last couple of rounds of the playoffs?
It's going to be really hard to to get to that level where we think we can get to. The playoffs, I think our goal is to be a home court playoff team. And then our goal from that point is to be a championship level team. But I don't know, this year I thought it was reflective. There wasn't a clear-cut favorite for most of the year. If you look at the two teams that were in the finals, they had a lot of points of their season where they were roundly criticized. There was questions about the makeup of their roster. And those teams were great in the playoffs, obviously. I love watching Golden State. I don't like playing against them, but they're such a fun team to watch. But I don't think there's this linear sense of this team's going to win like there was when the Bulls were all in. Maybe even Golden State a couple of years ago. So that's exciting. I mean, there's options there. I mean, look at Golden State's the last couple of years prior to winning it all. But we also can't fool ourselves and not acknowledge how high the bar is when you look at a team like Golden State that they've had over the last 7 or 8 years. And then as a fan, it's just fun. I thought it was good basketball. Both coaches did a fantastic job. Both front offices, really creative, really smart. So I thought it was awesome.
Is selling a draft pick, I assume more so maybe 48 or 50, is that a possibility?
Yeah, everything's a possibility. I think, again, the scout in me, that doesn't. You're always trying to make sure the pick helps you be more nimble and more flexible. So we'll sit down with ownership. We'll talk about every possible scenario. It's a weird year without those 59 and 60. So we have to gauge what's the value between 50 and 59. With the undrafted guys, we don't see a big gap there. Do we essentially use an asset we think we could recreate for, quote unquote free, 8 or 9 picks later? But there's nothing we won't talk about. Again, who knows if we make moves, but the fun part is the last X amount of days talking about the moves that potentially could be there.
Is it fun, though, or is it just time-consuming and
No, it's awesome.
a lot of trades talked about probably just never happen?
Almost 98% of them don't happen. No, it's really fun. And it's, you try to get more than one team involved. It's really challenging. So many balls in the air. No, it's a blast. The only thing that's not fun is living in a hotel. Besides that, this part's awesome. It's a blast.
Tim, maybe I had a chance to catch up with Ant a little bit, spend time since he's been in here.
Yeah, he's been here.
Yeah.
Gosh, he's such a big, strong. Just seeing him work out. You look at these draft guys all day long, and no offense to 19, we don't think we're going to recreate Ant Edwards. And then you watch him work out, and you feel good about yourself again. Like, all right, we can't screw this one up too bad when Ant's down there putting all the work in. He looks great. He's fired up. He's got such a mature mindset relative to work ethic and approach. And the most exciting thing, besides the just abundance of talent, is how bad he wants it. So we're so lucky. I'm so lucky. This city's so lucky to have a guy like that in our building.
Do you think, this is a little off the beaten path, but do you think with the NIL coming like it is, that you'll see fewer guys enter the draft because they'll be weighing themselves against a G League or a two-way
No, yeah.
contract?
I think there was a handful of guys this year that, quite frankly, NIL paid better than a rookie scale contract. And, sorry.
Great call.
Yeah, not far off. Let me cover this. And some of the schools, if you can stay at one of these storied schools, the Kentuckys and Carolinas, and get a ton of money and finish your degree, kudos to those guys. I didn't have the college experience that I probably would have had if I played basketball at Kentucky, but if I could have stayed in college for 6 or 7 years, I would have.
We'll go last question to Graham.
What makes the Timberwolves such an attractive place for young players to raise their level of talent?
I think our coaching staff, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a more creative or open-minded coach than Chris Finch. And the excitement level of the locker room, a bunch of young guys with some veterans that are about the right things that want to make sure these young guys are on the right path. There's a real palpable sense of excitement here, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find that level in a lot of other gyms in our league.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Sip coffee in the office, look down at Ant working, and be like, God, I'm good.
Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.